So welcome to this class. I really hope you enjoy what you're going to learn throughout all of these videos. First of all, my name is Filipa and I'm a passionate learner. I love to learn everything about everything. I'm also a productivity addict, and that made me create my blog. And when I first started blogging, I focused a lot on productivity tips because it was something that I was really excited about, and I'm always trying to learn new things to try to level up my productivity. I'm also an avid reader, so I love to read everything that I can put my hands on. In fact, I've always been like this. So when I was young, I would sleep with books. And I've learned so many things throughout books, because by reading books, you have access to the most brilliant minds ever. Anyway, I also love to travel, and I've traveled to a few countries, but I just want to see the world as it is and to know new cultures and to meet new people, make new connections. I think it's amazing to travel, and I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that I've already had to travel the world. I'm currently in college studying management. In this class, you're going to learn a lot of things, at least I hope. And if you're thinking about learning a new skill, which you should, you must first know what really is that one skill that you should be learning. And so I'm going to help you to find which skill you should focus on first. It's also important to know a little bit more about the theory behind learning any skill, because it can really help you out in your practice. But most of this course is practical, so I'm going to give you a lot of examples of different skills and how I would use the techniques I teach with some skills that I've already learned, or even skills that I didn't. So you're going to find the 4-step process to learn any skill that you want, and how to make progress quickly, because that's what this course is about. It's about learning a skill in a very short period of time. Of course, you can't become a world-class performer in one skill in only a few weeks, but sometimes you don't want to master a skill. You just want to learn the basics. You just want to learn how you can use it in your own life every day. And I'm going to focus on that in this course. But I also have another module where I'm going a little bit further away, and I'm going to teach you how you can master a skill if you want to. And learning a new skill focuses a lot on deconstructing that skill, and we are also going to cover that on this course. So basically, you will get a detailed map on how to learn any skill in a short period of time, and you can use this map in basically everything that you feel like learning right now. Like I told you, I'm going to have a lot of case studies and practical examples so you can understand a little bit more how you can use it to your own benefit. Alongside all the methods that you can use to learn a new skill quickly, I've also found that there are a lot of things that are not entirely related with the process of learning a new skill, but are also very useful in order to master a skill, in order to make progress, in order to make sure you commit to that, and all of those things. So I'm showing you how you can apply the 80-20 principle on learning any skill. And the 80-20 principle basically says that 80% of your results come from only 20% of your effort. So the key is to find the 20% of steps on any skill that will make you progress more and will give you the 80% of the results. Alongside all of this, you're also going to learn how you can enter the flow state, where basically you just forget that time is passing and you just focus on one thing at a time. And that thing will be practicing the new skill that you want to learn. How to build the habit of practicing every single day and how to commit to that. How you can focus during your practicing sessions to make them much more effective. Because when you're trying to learn a new skill, you can do it by 2 ways. So the first method is you actually do learn a new skill, but it takes you years, it takes you months, it takes you a lot of frustration. You won't make any progress because you're not focusing on the right strategy. You're not focusing on the right goals, I guess, of that skill. And the other method means that you're going to use your time effectively and smartly. So this course is not about telling that you can master a skill in only a few weeks. I would be lying if I said that. What this means is making the most out of your time. So in the end of this class, you will have a receipt on how to learn any skill at any time, so you can pick it whenever you need it. I'm also covering some of the resources you can use in order to learn a new skill. Thank you. Now that you've decided that you want to learn a new skill, you must be asking yourself, so what skills should I be learning right now? Brendon Burchard, in his book High Performance Habits, has a lot of questions that you should ask yourself in order to find what skills you should be learning right now. So the first question is, what is your primary field of interest? And what are the 3 skills that are most important in that field? So maybe you want to learn about leadership. So your primary field of interest is leadership, but what are the 3 skills related with that? So I would say communication. People who are leaders also learn a lot quicker, so they are quick learners, and maybe they know the art of taking action and changing their approach along the journey. So they know when they're making mistakes and that they need to change their approach. So those 3 skills are the ones that you should be focusing on. In order to find these 3 skills, you can do a quick Google search like, what are the most 3 important skills on learning guitar, playing drums, learning Adobe Photoshop, maybe designing, anything. So the second question you should ask yourself is, what are you going to do to develop those 3 skills? Do you need to read a book, get a coach, practice, go to a seminar, anything? And then when are you going to do those things? And set up a plan now and commit yourself to those things now. But remember, by doing one thing at a time. So you're not going to learn the 3 different skills at the same time, because that will be confusing for you. So pick one, start with one, then make the plan for the second one, do the second one, the third one, and that's it. Very important to plan that ahead, so there will be no excuses. And remember what Brendon Burchard said. If you leave your growth to randomness, you will always live in the land of mediocrity. So one of the skills related with leadership was communication. So what can you do to start learning how to be a better communicator now? You can take an online course on communication skills. You can read one book on the topic, search like top 10 books on communication and read one of those. You can also attend to a seminar on being a good communicator, and you can practice your communication skills every day by approaching your employees or your friends or even your family. So make a plan of those things. So take an online course on communication skills today. Read one book. I'm going to start it next week. Attend a seminar, so it's like 1 month from now, and practice my communication skills with other people. You can start it right now. Put those things in your calendar, because if you don't, you won't actually be doing those. High performers block their calendars to learn new skills. So they know exactly the 3 skills they are going to learn in order to progress in their projects, on their careers, on their future. And those skills will make them more successful in the long run. So look to the future, identify key skills, and then obsessively practice those skills. So in this lecture, we are going to study the learning process. And this process is the only one you need to follow in order to start learning a new skill today. But the first thing I want to tackle is your why. And finding out why you want to learn a new skill is really important to keep your motivation high and to stay committed. And I've got here a few questions that I recommend you to answer, because these questions will increase your level of commitment and motivation to start working in your goal. So the first question I ask here is, why do you want to learn a new skill? And this question might bring other questions that are here too, because you might want to learn a new skill because it benefits you, because it will increase your job performance, and maybe it will lead to a higher salary. Or maybe you just want to learn this skill because you've been feeling really frustrated and you want to learn something new, or you want simply to have fun, or because let's say you are going to learn a new language. Maybe you want to learn that language because you are going to visit that country in the future. Or maybe you want to play guitar because you want to teach your kid how to play guitar later. And you want to learn design because you want to monetize that skill by making freelance work. If you write down your why, your purpose when learning this skill, it will help you to understand and to commit more to your main goal, which is learn that skill. And here I've got this question: do you have a partner, or do you have someone who can help you to stay committed, like a friend? Maybe you can also have someone who will work in the same goal with you. So let's say you and a friend of yours, or you and your partner or a colleague want to learn guitar. If you learn guitar together, that will probably increase your motivation, because you have someone to share those experiences. But if you do not have, it's totally okay. If you want to talk to someone that is also willing to learn that specific skill, there are a ton of forums and Facebook pages and Facebook groups and Twitter where you can connect with those people too. But like I told you, it's really important to decide why you want to learn that specific skill, because that will help you in the long run to stay committed and to stay focused on acquiring that specific skill. As you learn and practice a new skill, you create neural pathways in your brain that then connect with other neural pathways. And the more you practice a skill, the stronger those connections become. According to research, there are 3 stages on the process of learning any skill: the cognitive stage, the associative stage, and the autonomous stage. The cognitive stage means that you're just starting to learn something about a new skill. So you're just starting to form neural pathways, but they are still very weak and they need practice in order to grow and to be stronger. As you keep practicing more and more, you reach the associative stage. And so you gain the ability to spot your mistakes and to change the approach in order to stop making them. And the more you practice a skill, the stronger your neural connections will be, and so the better you will be at that skill. The autonomous stage means you've mastered a skill. And this only happens when you dedicate your hours, effort, a lot of practice, a lot of focus and dedication. Malcolm Gladwell refers that it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. When you master a skill, it becomes second nature to you, and you can use it anywhere at any time, and you become very creative with it. And it's okay if you never reach this last stage of mastery, because there are certain skills that you might only want a certain level of proficiency, and you are not willing nor interested to put in the time and hours to master that skill. I relate to this because I love to learn new skills, but I don't really want to master all of those skills. So what I usually want is the ability to use those skills regularly in kind of a basic to a medium level. So video editing is an example where I just know how to edit videos. I know how to do a few things, but I'm not professional on that. Also playing guitar, I just know how to play a few songs for fun. Cooking and many other things. Josh Kaufman, in his book The First 20 Hours, explains how you can get a basic level of proficiency on any skill with 4 steps. So the first step is to deconstruct and sequence a skill. So you break a skill into small parts and then you prioritize those in order to become more efficient on the learning process. And we are going to cover that on this course with a lot of practical examples. And a mind map is a great way to go through this step in order to deconstruct a skill. The second step is to start learning that skill. So you start learning and gathering information about a skill. And this doesn't mean you're going to read all of the books in the market on that topic. So do not overwhelm yourself with information before starting. I've done this mistake a lot of times where I just start reading a lot of books and then I find myself lost because I see that I've made no progress, because the only thing where I focused my attention on was on reading and I made no progress at all. So most people, including myself, spend too much time researching, pondering, planning, and do not take action. Because the most important thing when starting to learn a new skill is to take action, is to just simply start with no matter the resources you have. I could have right now a basic level of proficiency in many other skills if I just started. So don't wait for the perfect time nor the perfect resources. Start doing something now, because acquiring a basic level of a skill doesn't take much time. What are the 3 simple steps you could take right now to start learning a new skill? So the first one might be continue to watch this course in order to learn the effective method you can use. The second one would be watch a YouTube video with an introduction of the skill you want to learn. So if you want to learn Adobe Photoshop, search for Adobe Photoshop for Beginners on YouTube and watch a 10-minute video on that topic. Anything, but do some type of action right now to keep the momentum going. And the third step might be to buy or to borrow, to get, whatever, the resources you might need to get started. So if you want to learn how to play guitar, maybe it's good if you just order a new guitar or if you just ask a friend. If you want to learn Adobe Photoshop, maybe it's a good idea to download the software to your computer. Or if you want to learn a new language, just buy a new notebook. Joko Willink, a Navy SEAL, says the only way to beat procrastination is just start. Don't think about where do I start, when do I start, do it now. And he says, stop thinking about it, stop dreaming about it, stop researching every aspect of it and reading all about it and debating the pros and cons of it. Start doing it. Take the first step and make it happen. Get after it, here and now. So the third step of learning any skill is to remove physical, emotional, and mental barriers that stop you from practicing. So regarding physical barriers, it might be good to order the things you need to start practicing that skill, like I said before. Maybe it's mean buying the guitar or tuning the guitar, changing the strings, something like that. The mental and emotional barriers are related with your mindset, and those are more difficult to overcome. If you keep thinking that you can't learn a new skill, then it's true. But if you keep thinking that you can learn a new skill, it's also true. Start trying to control your negative thoughts because they have a huge influence in your ability to learn or to not learn. So start writing your negative thoughts and then try to come up with ideas and reasons why they are not true. I learned the ANT technique, automatic negative thoughts, on this book over here, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. Written by Dr. Daniel Amen, who is a neuroscientist and a psychiatrist. First, I'm going to share some science behind every thought that we have. And by only reading that on this book, I became much more aware of the impact that every thought has on myself. Your thoughts directly impact the way you feel and the way you behave. Every time you have a bad, a cranky, and unhappy thought, your brain releases negative chemicals that activate your limbic system and make your body and mind feel bad. And your thoughts are not always true, so you have to question them. But if you come up with them and you do nothing about it, you will feel bad. Make fun of your negative thoughts, challenge them, question them, talk back to them, and then try to correct them. Because most of your negative thoughts are not true. And so if you question them, if you make fun of them, they will have no power over you. And every time you have a good thought, your brain releases chemicals that will make your body and mind feel good. So your body reacts to positive and negative feelings, even if you don't say them out loud. So every time you want to feel good, think of positive things. When you are learning a new skill, you will have a lot of discouraging thoughts. Maybe it's I will never learn this, I don't have the mental capacity, I don't have good memory to learn a new skill, it will take me years to learn this, I suck, and a lot more. And all of those thoughts should be challenged. And if you do challenge them and question them, they will have no power over you. And remember, you don't have to believe every thought you have. So when you have a negative thought, ask these 4 questions. Is it true? Can I absolutely know that it's true? How do I react when I believe that thought? Who would I be without that thought? Or how would I feel if I didn't have that thought? Now write those answers down and question your thoughts. Make them have no power within yourself. So the fourth step on learning any skill is to practice the sub-skills until you reach the level you desire. So when I was starting to learn how I could edit videos, I watched a lot of YouTube videos and then I would replicate what they were doing. And that way I could practice myself because I replicated, but I was also learning at the same time by practicing and by learning through imitation. So imitation is a powerful tool when you want to learn something new. So this means you can learn with others by doing what they are doing. So go find a few people who are doing what you really want to do and then copy them. Austin Kleon has a great book called Steal Like an Artist, and he talks about the power of imitation. He said, start copying what you love. Copy, 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 copy. And at the end of the copy, you will find yourself. So the author copied a lot of artists in order to learn with them. This is not about using other people's work and telling it's your own work. This is about getting inspiration from their work and their results and then trying to learn it from yourself. If you steal from an author, it's plagiarism. If you steal from many, it's research. And that's what also I learned in college. So if you want to learn photography, check other people's photos and then try to do the same photos yourself. It's much better to learn with others by watching YouTube videos, reading books, taking online courses, or having personal lessons than to try to go through everything by yourself. Watch, recreate, fail, practice, and repeat. And remember, fail fast. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. When you make mistakes, you learn quicker. So don't stop yourself from trying, even though you know you're going to fail. Using the right method to learn a new skill will help you to progress much quicker, but it won't avoid failure. Because if you want to avoid failure, you also have to avoid action. As Barbara Oakley said, the law of serendipity. Lady luck favors the one who tries. So don't feel overwhelmed with everything you need to learn about a new subject. Instead, focus on nailing down a few key ideas. You will be surprised at how much that simple framework can help. And remember that the number of hours you put into learning a new skill depends on your own goals. So if you only want to learn a few songs on guitar for fun, you might only need 20 hours of practicing. But if you want to become a professional guitar player, you might need a lifetime. So it's important to set your goals before starting learning any skill and to know exactly what skill level you desire. But allow yourself to go further if you're feeling like it. So the first step to a quicker skill acquisition is to choose something that you are excited about. We must stop doing things that don't catch our interest. If you're curious about something, go try it. I remember trying to learn chess when I wasn't even interested on chess. So guess what? I gave up after 2 days. So it's very important that you choose something that you are really interested on. The second principle is to focus your energy at one skill at a time. So you might decide that you want to learn Photoshop, but then you start thinking about it and you are like, well, what photos am I going to edit? I should start learning how to take better photos. But I also like to edit videos, so why not also learning Adobe Premiere Pro? But what am I going to film? Well, I could learn cooking in order to film myself cooking. Then I could edit the cooking footage and post it on social media. Well, but I also should learn how to market my videos on social media. And without noticing, you already have a bunch of skills that you just started learning and you will basically learn none. There are many things to learn, but it's very important that you focus at one skill at a time. You have time to learn all of them, but focus on one first. So pick one skill, practice, and try to reach the level you desire. And that's the third step, define your target performance level. Because this is really important to know when you should stop practicing and learning and dedicating daily time to learn that skill, or when you should move on to another skill. You also should know how to deconstruct a skill into small sub-skills, and that's going to be something we are going to cover here, and you can use a mind map to help you on this task. The fifth step is to obtain critical tools. So this is not about having the perfect resources, but at least having some of the things you might need to help you on your journey. And also remember to remove the barriers that are stopping you from progressing. Those can be your negative thoughts, so make sure you deal with them. The seventh principle it might be one of the most important, and it is to make time for your practice. So establish how much time you want to learn a new skill every day. You are the one deciding the amount of time you want, and then commit yourself to doing it every day. Put it on your schedule and don't skip it. So the comedian Seinfeld decided that he wanted to become a better comedian. And early on his career, he would mark up his calendar with a huge X every single time he wrote a joke. So he had to write one joke per day. And by doing that practice, by keeping that habit, he became one of the best comedians in the world. You can level up your skill level if you just commit yourself to practicing every single day. The other thing you should do is to create fast feedback loops. So you try to evaluate your accomplishments and then you see if you're making progress or not. And if you're not, you must change your approach. Also remember to practice in short bursts. So focus your attention for a small period of time, but during that period of time you give your full attention and also your energy to practicing a skill. The 10th step is to emphasize quantity and speed. So if you want to learn a new skill quickly, you have to combine both learning speed by eliminating unnecessary steps and also the amount of time you put into practicing. So in the beginning, kind of forget a little bit the quality, because the first things you're going to put on won't be very good, right? Because you're just learning, and accept that. And the last principle is sleep. So studies have shown that sleep plays a huge role on learning a new skill. So when you are sleeping, your brain removes some useless information and reinforces the things that you want to learn. So when you learn something during the day and you sleep well at night, your brain stronger the connections and the neural pathways in your brain. Also, lack of sleep means less concentration, less focus, less energy. So make sure you have a good night of sleep in order to learn a new skill quicker. So the first thing you gotta do to start learning a skill is to deconstruct that same skill. So you're going to break your specific skill in small, tangible goals. And you can definitely do this by starting backwards, by reversing the engineer of the thing. So let's imagine you want to play guitar. If you look to someone who is playing guitar, he does a ton of steps that will produce the music that he's playing, like learning to change chords, learning the chords, learning how to change them quickly. They know how to play a specific rhythm. They also in the backstage, they know how to tune their guitar, how to change their strings. There's a lot of things behind the scenes, I guess, between playing guitar or any other skill. And what I'm going to show you is how I can break a specific skill in a small tangible goal, so you can check and see how I do it, so then you can replicate the same strategy with a specific skill you want to learn. And you can apply this strategy to any skill you want. And those skills can be more practical skills like playing guitar, learning how to skateboard, learning how to play drums or anything like that. Those are more practical skills because they require more practice. But you can also apply this method to skills that are a little bit more theoretical, that require more study and theory, like for example learning economics, learning marketing, learning a new language. Of course they also require some practice, but they are also a lot based on theory and on the learning process that is more focused on memorizing and understanding specific things. So I'm now on a specific website called app.mindmap.com, where you can create a mind map. And a mind map is a connection of ideas. It's really simple to understand and to use, and I found this software by searching on Google for a mind map online, and this was the first one to come up, and so I've been using it and I really enjoy it because it's really easy to work and you can organize your ideas and thoughts much easier. And we are going to use this website and this mind map to break our skill, our main skill, in small tangible goals. So I'm using two different examples here. One is more practical and one is a little bit more theoretical, so you can understand and you can apply these techniques to the skills you want to learn, whatever skills they are. So I'm starting with playing guitar, and playing guitar is something that a lot of people want to learn, but most of the times they give up during the process. But I hope this time you won't give up. So what I'm doing here, I'm writing in the first rectangle here, the main thing, in this case is the main skill, which is learn guitar or learn how to play guitar, whatever. Then we are going to break this skill in small tangible goals. And again, you can use the reverse engineer to reverse the skill of playing a song and seeing every part that is necessary to play a song. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking on this skill over here and I'm clicking here where it says insert child node. And so you can write things here again. And what I'm writing is, for example, it can be whatever you want to, of course, but let's say you need to know how to play the chords, right? So play chords. And here you can specify which chords you would like to start with. Let me say D, C, G, A, E, A, yeah, like this. Those are the first chords you want to learn to learn how to play a specific song. Then you click again on the main skill and you do the same thing, but with another small skill. And this would be play a rhythm. And this could be like down, down, up, down, up, down, which is a rhythm that some people start with when they want to learn how to play guitar. Which is, of course, is necessary to know how to play rhythm to play a specific song. Then you could know how to tune a guitar. And let's say you want to learn a specific song. You could write here the specific song you want to learn. So let's say I want to learn Come As You Are by Nirvana, or I want to learn another one like Other Side by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Or, you can basically tackle down small tangible goals that you will learn. Also, for example, how to change the strings, the guitar strings, change chords quickly, which is something important. If you want to learn how to play a song, you need to change chords a little bit quickly, which is something that requires practice but can be done. So I'm done with this example. I'm not going to specify it too much because this is just an example to show you how you can do it. So now I'm going to use another example so you can understand how you can work with this if you want to learn a skill that is a little bit more focused on the theory. So I'm clicking again where it says insert root node, and here's our other mind map, and I'm creating a name which will going to be marketing. And this is what we want to learn in this other example. In this case, I'm going to specify this a little bit more by writing social media marketing, which is something that most people now want to focus on because that's where most people are, so they can market them well. And I'm going to create a child node, and I'm going to write Facebook and other social media that people who are learning how to market on social media want to tackle. Because if you want to learn how to do marketing on social media, you need to focus and learn how to market on specific platforms, because each one is different and each one has specific marketing strategies that work best. So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, and other platforms. So like you can see, I broke this goal of learning how to do social media marketing on smaller tangible goals, which in this case, you are simply going to focus on Facebook's marketing first, and then Pinterest, and then Instagram, Twitter, whatever. The next step to create a learning process is to sequence the goals we created in the previous lesson. So each goal, each small tangible goal that you have, you now need to sequence all of those goals to create a sequence. So, for example, when you want to learn guitar, you are not going to start right away by playing a song, because you don't know how to play that song. So you need to break that goal and probably start with playing chords and learning chords, and learning the name of the strings, and then learning the rhythm, and then, yes, you can play a specific song. So we are going again to use the mind map website so I can show you how you can create your own sequence. So I'm here again on my mind map, and what we are going to do is we are going to use all of these skills that we have here and sequence them in order to create our first recipe and our guide so we can follow in order to learn a specific new skill. So my main goal is to learn how to play this song over here, other side. And I know that to learn how to play this song, I need to know how to play the chords that come with it and also how to play a rhythm. So like you can see, now I've got first how to learn how to play these chords. I'm pretending these chords are the ones that this song has. I mean, this is just an example, so I have no idea if those are really the chords. But anyway, let's pretend that the chord D, C, G, E, and A are the necessary chords to play Other Side, the music Other Side by Red Hot. And the next thing you need to do is learn how to play a rhythm. And then you will be able to play this song over here, even if it doesn't sound that great, because when you are first learning how to play guitar, the chords and the sound of the chords doesn't sound that good, but the key is to continue to practice. And then we still have some things over here that are necessary to play guitar, but in my opinion, they are not that important in the beginning, because you want to see results right away. And to see results, and if you see results right away, you will feel much more committed and excited to continue to learn and learn how to play it. So in this case, I don't think that tuning a guitar and changing strings is that important. So in my opinion, in this case, I would put that in the end of the list, because there are other things that will keep you much more motivated and excited to continue learning. Because if you learn how to play a few chords first and then learn how to play a rhythm, and you learn how to play a song because of these only 2 steps, you will feel much more energetic and much more happy, because you already know how to play a song, which is something really cool. So, in my opinion, those could be the last ones, because in my opinion, those are not the most important. So, I'm tuning a guitar and changing strings will be like the last things I'm going to do. And so let me put them over here. Change strings is not really that important. Okay, and you might say, well, but my guitar is not tuned, so the chords don't sound good. Well, you can just buy an electric tuner, which is really cheap, and you can tackle this problem really easily without spending much time or energy on it. Then, after learning this song, I want to learn this song over here, which is Come As You Are. And I also want to learn the name of the strings, but I'm not that excited to do it right now. And of course, if you want to learn this song, you have another 2 steps, which are learn how to play the chords that are in this song and learn how to play a rhythm. You can create a child node, and let's say again, you need to learn play the C, D, E chord. Let's say those are the only chords in this song, which I don't know. Again, if you are starting to learn how to play guitar, of course I advise you to start with a really easy song that has like 2 or 3 chords in max. But this is just an example, like I told you before. And play the C, D, E chords, and also you need to play the rhythm. So this would be more or less the process and the steps on starting to learn this new skill that is playing guitar. Using now the social media marketing example, we are going again to sequence these goals. And I'm going to sequence them by no logical order. So let's say you want to learn first Facebook, then Instagram, then Twitter, then Instagram, then Pinterest, then LinkedIn. So let's just say that's what you want to learn. And these mind maps that I'm creating here are a little bit small. So your mind maps should be bigger than those, because you should break your skill into even more small tangible goals. But because this is just an example, I'm not being very specific here. But the more specific your mind maps are, the more small your goals are, the better, because you will progress much easier and you will feel much more committed and excited to continue to play and to learn a new completely skill. The last step to create a learning process is to eliminate unnecessary goals and group some of the goals you already have in order to improve your learning method. And you should think about your own method by thinking, how can I be good quickly? How can I start learning something new today? And because of that, you will need to eliminate certain goals that right now aren't that useful for you, but in the future you can of course learn them, but you want to start with something smaller, and you want to start by doing something. And of course you can't focus on everything, and you can just think that you can learn everything in a short period of time. So you need to focus on the more important things by focusing on that rule that says that 20% of some things produce 80% of results. So that's exactly what you are going to do. You are going to eliminate most of the not so important skills, so you can tackle down the ones that will bring you more results and quicker. So in the example of learning guitar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate some of the things that I've got here that in my opinion are not effective or aren't really going to bring any results quickly, because they are kind of boring and they do not bring anything very special to your skill, and they will probably not help you to feel more motivated. So the ones what I'm thinking about deleting here is learn the name of the strings. And in my opinion, you don't need to learn the name of the strings right away, because when you are learning and progressing, you will just understand and you will learn the names of those without really focusing on that. So I'm deleting this step over here. I also am going to delete how to tune a guitar, because you can do that with an electronic device, which is so simple to use, and so you don't need to lose time tuning your guitar manually. And change strings is also something very optional, because when you buy a guitar, most of the times they already come with strings, or you can simply visit a guitar store so they can help you place your strings. So it's not something very important on learning how to play a guitar. Then I could delete the change chords quickly, but in my opinion, it's important to learn how to change them very, very quickly, because that's what most songs require. In the social media marketing, I'm going to delete 3 of those social media, because social media marketing strategies are effective, but of course they take a little bit of time to learn and to understand. So focusing on all of these social media is not effective. So in this case, we could first delete LinkedIn, then Pinterest, and then Instagram. So we are going to focus specifically on Facebook and Twitter. And of course, as we progress, we can start adding again Instagram and LinkedIn and Pinterest and learn them as the time comes. You can group some specific goals. In this case, I already grouped those in this category over here, because this song requires to know how to play the C, D, E chord and also how to play a specific rhythm, but you could do exactly the same thing with this song over here. So I'm creating a child note and let's say play a rhythm, and also play chords D, C, G, E, A. And I can delete those ones. So what I'm doing here is I'm grouping chords. And changing chords quickly can also be a part of both of learning these songs. So I'm actually going to edit here and to also here. And I'm deleting it from here, like this. And on the other hand, where we have social media marketing, we could be a little bit more specific here, so we could improve a little bit our mind map. So we would open Facebook and we are going to add Facebook ads, which is a way to market on social media and on Facebook. And we could add Facebook headlines, let's say, I don't know. No, not headlines. Facebook SEO, I don't know. Or improve, for example, a page description. Those could be some social media marketing strategies. And on Twitter, also Twitter ads. Let's say increase engagement rates and create attractive headlines and things like that. So we are being a little bit more specific, but we are also grouping these specific social media strategies into smaller tangible goals. So we are going to talk about the 80-20 principle, which is an amazing principle to waste less time and achieve more. So the first thing is to exactly know what is the 80-20 principle. Then I'm going to give you a few examples of how to apply it in your life, and also a few ideas of how to use the 80-20 principle to learn a new skill. And I learned most of the things about this principle in the book The 80-20 Principle by Richard Koch, but there are also a lot of stuff on YouTube and some bloggers also talk about it. The basic idea is that 20% of our efforts creates 80% of our results. Vilfredo Pareto was an Italian economist who found this pattern, and it soon became a phenomenon known as the Pareto principle or the 80-20 principle. So the key is to be very aware of the activities that you execute in your daily life in order to find the 20% that produce 80% of the results. Unless we do it, we are actually wasting a lot of time and energy doing stuff that doesn't matter and that we don't really enjoy. But if you apply this principle, you can literally achieve much more with less time. And this can be applied to anything, such as business, relationships, language learning, or any skill that you really want to learn. Richard Koch, the author of the 80-20 principle, recommends to do an inventory of the 20% of activities that give you the most joy in your life. Now spend your time on those things. And don't focus too much on the exact percentages. It might be 70-30% or 90-10%. The key is the minority of the causes bring the majority of the effects. So here I've got a few examples. So you probably only wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. So the other 80% of your clothes usually stay there in your wardrobe and you probably never pick them up. I can also relate with this principle with my website traffic. So 80% of my website traffic comes from spending 20% of my time promoting it on Pinterest. The other social media like Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook don't bring me any real results. So it's kind of useless to spend a lot of time in those accounts, right? So what I should do is focus most of my time on Pinterest because that's where I know that my results or most of my results come from. I can also tell you that 20% of my relationships bring 80% of my happiness. So I have a lot of people in my life, but really I know exactly who are the few people of my circle of friends and people I know that bring real happiness to me and that make me happy on a daily basis. So I should try to spend more time with them instead of spending time with people that you just know that aren't really interesting you and don't bring anything valuable to your own life. And if you take a close look to your own life, you will see very similar patterns. Related to books, in most books, you can extract 80% of the content in 20% of the time. And this is very, very important if you want to learn, for example, a new skill and you are going to use books to learn some of the principles behind that skill. Because there's no need to read a book from cover to back unless you are really enjoying it. Because you can learn most of the content in a book in 1 hour or even less. In this way, you can accelerate your learning process. Also, related to customers, most businesses say that 20% of their customers produce 80% of their profit. So they should focus their time on or most of their time in those customers, trying to build a better relationship with them. Tim Ferriss, who is a blogger, a podcaster, an author, and an amazing person, he actually applies the 80-20 principle to pretty much everything he does, such as language acquisition, business, or any skill that he wants to learn. So Tim Ferriss came with this language learning recipe that is amazing, and if you check his blog posts on this subject, you will have a lot of insights if you are planning on learning a new language. He uses 12 English sentences in order to learn a new language. So he translates those 12 sentences into the language that he wants to learn. And this way he can master the basics of any language in a few hours or days. He also believes that auxiliary verbs are the ultimate cheat on learning a new language fast. So all you need is to memorize the conjugations of a few verbs like to want or to have or to need. By applying this principle, you get much faster results than if you just try to memorize thousands of words, verbs, and different conjugations. According to Tim Ferriss' research, 100 well-selected words make 50% of the practical use of all the words in the Oxford English Dictionary. So spend most of your time learning the common verbs on a language instead of trying to memorize thousands and thousands of words. Tim Ferriss also has a blog post where he talks about learning guitar. And if you spend 80% of your time learning the most used chords, like 3 to 5 chords, you can actually be able to play most of the songs. Of course, you won't become a guitar master in a few weeks, because to become a master, you probably need years or the 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell talks about. But if you really want to see results in the first days, which is very, very important in order to motivate yourself to continue learning, it's very, very important that you select the right materials to start with. And if you do that, you will see progress very, very quickly. And this way, you can actually feel more motivated and interested on continuing learning this skill. The most important thing is to be creative with the 80-20 principle, because it can be applied to any field in your life. And it's one of the best techniques to increase your overall performance and happiness. So try it out. Building good habits is one of the most important steps for having a successful career, relationship, or life. In fact, if you want to learn a new skill, such as playing guitar, for example, it's very important that you build a habit around it. So, if you want to play guitar, you must practice it every single day in order to progress. So it's very important to create a habit of practicing guitar, for example, every single day, or programming every single day, or writing every single day, or simply just the habit of waking up early or exercising. You might think that it's very difficult to create new habits, but in fact, our brains are very, very good on that task. The problem is that our own brains can differentiate bad from good habits, because that's our job. So basically, here we are going to learn how you can start a new habit and how to actually be consistent with them. Also, how to stop bad habits, because that's very, very important too. And some of the content of this presentation is based on two books that I've read. The first one is The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg, and the other one is Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength by Roy Baumeister. Most of the things that I'm going to teach here are proved by science, so they actually work in practice because they were already tested with different people, myself included. All habits can be broken in a three-step process: cue, routine, and reward. So habits are triggered by cues, which then tell our brain to go into automatic mode. Cues lead to a specific routine, which is the habit. And doing that routine, you expect a reward. So let's say you want to play guitar every single day after lunch. You can literally put your guitar next to your kitchen table, and that will be your cue that will then lead you to practice guitar, which is the routine. And the reward can be the sense of progress, or you can associate other type of rewards that you know that will make you even more motivated. Or if you want to get into the habit of exercising, which you should, you can put your gym clothes next to your bed and put them on right after waking up, which is exactly what I do every single day. And that will be your cue, which will then lead you to your routine of going to the gym or working out at home. I also know some people who sleep with their gym clothes so they won't fall back on their new habit, right? And the reward will be the endorphins and the energy you will feel throughout the day, which is one of the most important things that you can have in order to have a successful career or a successful lifestyle. So in order to get into a specific routine, which is also the habit that you want to start, you must be exposed to a cue. And those cues can be related with location, time, emotion, or last actions. So for example, a specific location might trigger a specific habit or a specific routine. If you are in a gym, you're going to probably start working out. Or at a specific time of the day, you have an action that might be triggered. So let's say that after lunch, you have the habit of starting to check social media. So the time of the day, afternoon or after lunch, will be the cue that will then lead you to start checking your social media accounts. Emotions can also be a cue because, for example, in my case, if I feel sad, I have the tendency to start eating food. And also, last actions play a huge role on this because, for example, if my last action was exercising, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to make a lot of other decisions after that are good for me. So if I exercise, I'm probably going to eat a healthy breakfast too. Or I'm going to start working and feeling and being productive during the day. So you probably have some bad habits going on, just like I do. The key is to find the cue that leads to that bad routine. For example, if you have the habit of eating junk food after you come from work, you need to find why you do that specific habit. Maybe the trigger is when you actually sit on your sofa watching television. And your brain in that moment will crave the routine of grabbing some junk food. But you can't delete a bad habit, but you can replace it with a good one. In this case, you can simply stop buying junk food. Or you can place a healthy snack right next to your sofa. So that's the first thing you will see that, and then you can, of course, grab it. This also works with the habit of playing guitar, with the example that I gave previously. So if you have the habit of checking social media right after lunch, if you put your guitar next to your kitchen table, you can, instead of checking social media, playing and practicing guitar in order to learn that new skill. Another example of a bad habit is smoking. And if you want to stop smoking, you should substitute that bad habit with another one. The problem is that some people stop a bad habit and start another bad habit. So there are a lot of studies that show that most people, when they stop smoking, they start eating more. In this case, what they could do is they could stop smoking and try to get into the habit of exercising. You can't delete a bad habit, but you can replace it with a good one. And that's exactly what I'm trying to help you here. I'm also in this process every single day because you can't really be perfect on doing your daily habits every single day. Sometimes you will fail. The most important thing is when you fail one day, don't fail the second day. Really, when you fail one day, please keep up in the second day and don't fail it again. And here I've got a quote that I really liked, which says, "Change might not be fast, and it isn't always easy, but with time and effort, almost any habit can be reshaped." And I totally believe this. I had a lot of bad habits going on. I changed some of them. I still have other bad habits, but like I told you before, I'm also in this process of trying to replace bad habits with good ones. Charles Duhigg gives a very cool advice that I really enjoyed, and it is to predict possible difficulties that might emerge in the process of starting a new habit. So let's say you want to start playing guitar every single day, but now you just broke your hand. Well, if you had actually planned that things like this could happen, you wouldn't be so prompt to give up this new habit. So in the beginning, you could do something like, well, now I'm getting into the habit of practicing guitar every single day. If I break my arm or if any other thing come up, I will, instead of practicing, watch a YouTube video of people playing and teaching guitar. And I will also study some music theory. So you are basically predicting some bad stuff that might happen, but you will also trying to find a way of overcoming that and continuing with your habit. So let's say you also want to start exercising every single day. You can do something like this, like you can write this on a paper, which I think is better than just repeating this to yourself. So it might say something like, well, I'm now starting to exercise every morning. I know I can make time for it no matter what. The fact that I will have 3 different new projects at work next month won't be an excuse, a real excuse for making me stop exercising. So I will keep up with it no matter how many work projects I've got. This way, you will feel much more prompt to not give up when something comes up. The most important thing is to commit yourself to doing it every single day. So Jerry Seinfeld is a comedian who decided early on his career to commit himself to writing 1 joke per day. And that was it. So he would then mark up his calendar with a huge X. And his goal was to never break the streak. And that's how he became very good on writing jokes. And writing jokes is also a skill. So by practicing it every single day, he learned a new skill and he also became much better on self-discipline. And the key is don't miss a day. And like I told you before, if you do, don't miss 2 days. Really make it easy for you in the beginning. If you just started learning how to play guitar, you don't need to set a goal of practicing for 1 hour every single day. Set only 15 minutes and feel okay if it sounds horrible or if whatever you might produce is very, very bad in the beginning, because you're just starting, you're just learning, you're just in the beginning. So make it easy for you in the beginning and don't be too hard on yourself. Like Tony Robbins said, if you do what you've always done, you will get to what you've always gotten. And remember that when you build a good habit, you will feel more motivated to start more positive habits. Maybe the habit of playing guitar will motivate you to start learning other skills or reading more about different topics. Or maybe the habit of exercising will motivate you to start meditating or waking up early. Don't underestimate the power of one positive habit in your life. One important tip is to also write down why you are trying to replace a bad habit with a good one, or why do you want to start this new habit? Why do you want to start waking up early, or learning how to play guitar, learning how to program, or why are you now trying to write 15 minutes every single day? Write your why, write your reasons, because that will motivate you even more to continue every single day. Like the author of Power of Habit said in his book, typically people who exercise more start eating better and becoming more productive at work. They smoke less and show more patience with colleagues and family. They use their credit cards less frequently and say they feel less stressed. So exercise is a keystone habit that triggers widespread change. So don't underestimate the power of one positive habit in your life, because that can change the whole other habits that you might have. According to the research made by Baumeister and Tierney, willpower is the key to success and to a better life. And here is a very interesting thing that they found in their studies. So self-discipline predicted academic performance more robustly than did IQ. Self-discipline also predicted which students would improve their grades over the course of the school year, whereas IQ did not. So self-discipline has a bigger effect on academic performance than does intellectual talent. So my question is, why aren't we teaching willpower in schools or self-discipline, right? Because that's a very, very important skill and that can be improved by anyone. So willpower is like a battery, and guess what? It drains throughout the day. So when we wake up, our willpower is charged and it is ready to be used. So you must use it wisely in order to create new habits, which will then run in autopilot. That's why I exercise in the morning, because that's when I have when I have my willpower full, right? My battery of willpower is full. So I use that willpower to create this habit of exercising every single day. And also every single day, it becomes easier and more automatic for me. Instead of wasting our willpower in dumb decisions, we should use it to our own advantage. In order to create a new habit, such as the habit of learning a new skill, we need willpower. And willpower is finite, so don't use it with unimportant decisions. That's why some entrepreneurs, such as the creator of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, wears the same t-shirt every single day to make sure he doesn't waste any willpower deciding which clothes he wants to wear, right? So, but if you're not willing to wear the same clothes every single day, which I'm not really willing to do that, you can plan the things you're going to wear the night before, so you don't waste your morning willpower with those type of decisions. As the author of Willpower says, the clear implication was that the best advice for young writers and aspiring professors is write every day. Use your self-control to form a daily habit, and you will produce more with less effort in the long run. So the most important thing is to create a habit around a skill or something that you want to learn and you want to start practicing every single day. And in the long run, that will be the most important decision that you've ever made for your career or life. If you want to start a new habit of, for example, practicing guitar or meditating, make sure that your physiological needs are fulfilled. And I learned the hierarchy of needs by Maslow in my college degree. If you want to fulfill your top needs, you first must figure out the needs that are in the base of the pyramid. So make sure you exercise, you eat healthy food, and you rest. And then you can focus on other type of habits. So willpower is very, very important in order to create and build strong habits. And here are a few ways that you can use to increase your willpower. So the first one is to eat. Because if your glucose is low, your willpower will also be low. So don't forget, eat, and especially eat healthy foods. A good night of sleep is also essential for well-being and to recharge your willpower. When you meditate, your brain gets stronger and better on controlling impulses. It also builds new neurons, it helps on focusing, building your discipline muscle, so meditation is amazing for also increasing your willpower. In one experiment, a group was exposed to a nice, neat laboratory room, while others sat in a disorganized place. The people in the messy room scored lower in self-control on many measures. The same happens when participants visited a clean website and a sloppy one. So it's very, very important to keep your environment, the place where you work, very organized and clean. So make sure that after you end your work sessions, to clean and to leave everything in its place. Exercising is also a wonderful way, probably the best one, to increase your willpower because it reduces cravings and makes you much happier. And if you are happier, you will also feel more motivated to start new positive habits, such as learning a new skill or simply waking up early. There are 3 tools that are very, very important if you want to keep with good habits. So they are optional, of course, but I think they can become very useful in this process of creating and replacing habits. So the first one is Momentum. And Momentum is an application where you can write your goals and then you simply click when you finish that goal that day, right? So it basically just allows you to keep track of those goals. You can also do that on a huge calendar that you just place in your house and you mark down every time that you achieve a goal that you want to complete every day. And Beeminder is basically an application that takes you money out of your account every time that you don't do the habits that you wanted to do. If you fail today, they will actually take a certain amount of money from your bank account. You are the one deciding which amount they will take from you, but if you actually follow the principles of this app, you will probably be much more committed and motivated to continue on this habit because you just don't want to lose money with it. And the most important thing is believing that yes, you can change your bad habits. And there's this question that Brian Johnson recommends us to ask ourselves, which says, which is the one habit that if implemented right now would change your life? And it doesn't have to be something that big. It could be exercising or starting learning a new skill or eating healthier. Those can become very, very powerful in the long run. And if you believe you can change, if you make it a habit, the change becomes real. So keep up, and if you have any skills that you really want to learn or anything, make it a habit and try to practice every single day, no matter what. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, don't break the streak. Thank you. In this next module, we are going to focus specifically on commitment, because now that you have a plan that will lead you to learn a completely new skill, you need to commit yourself to practice every single day. Because if you don't, you will never learn that specific skill, of course. And it's really important to create a habit of practicing and learning every single day, even if it's just for 10 or 15 or 30 minutes, whatever you can. But you need to ensure you practice every single day if you want to build an habit and if you really want to learn a new skill. So the first advice I've got for you in order to commit yourself to learn a new skill is to plan your day. So write everything you need to get done to the next day. Those can be work projects, chores you have to do at home, whatever you are working on. Just write everything you need to get done the next day. Also meetings and things you have. And block periods of time to do those things. So let's say you need to finish a work project. Block, for example, 2 hours in the morning from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. to complete that project. And in those hours, you only work on that project. You focus your attention specifically in finishing that project. And you do the same thing about blocking periods of time with all the tasks you have to do. So if you have a meeting, you will block 30 minutes or 1 hour, whatever, of your time to go to that meeting at a specific time. And the cool thing is that you are going also to block a period of your time to practice and learn your new skill. And again, like I said, there's no right amount of time that you should practice. You are the one deciding how much time you want to dedicate to learn this new skill. But the important thing here is to build a habit. And that habit, it will be really important in order to progress. But to build a habit, you need to commit yourself to practice every single day. So if you really have to go to the meeting, you also really have to practice and to learn that new skill in that day. And those can be 10 minutes, 15, 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever you can. And it depends, of course, on your availability. But it's really important to work on that every single day. And if you can, try to learn the new skill always in the same period of day, because it will be easier for you to associate that period of day to your skill, the skill you want to learn, and it will be easier to commit and to dedicate time to that specific skill. So let's say you always practice after lunch. So after lunch, you will remember, well, I need to go practice. And if you do this every single day in the same time, it will be easier for you to get used to it. But if you can't, if you have a difficult schedule to manage, then it's completely okay. Just make sure you work on your goal, in this case, to learn a new skill every single day. Another thing that can really help you to commit is to reward yourself. And your brain associates rewards with pleasure. And if you do something that will give your brain pleasure, it will like it and it will force you to do that thing. So let's say that you create a reward that is each time you practice every day, you will be able to watch a Netflix movie, or you will be able to watch a Game of Thrones episode. So you only watch that Game of Thrones episode if you practice your new skill. And your brain will think and will associate the activity of practicing your new skill with the reward of watching a Game of Thrones episode, which is something you love. So if you associate and if you reward yourself for something you did, you will be much more excited to train your skills and to learn and practice the skill you want to learn. I also know some people who do this kind of things, which is if they complete 7 days a week of committing themselves to train their skill every single day. So if they practice every single day for 1 week, they will reward themselves with something like they will buy themselves a book or a piece of cloth or something like that, or going to the cinema. So you need to associate your goal with a reward. And this will be one of the best tools that you will have in order to commit yourself to learn a new skill. Another way to commit yourself is to punish yourself. And your brain, again, associates punishment with pain. And this punishment can work a little bit as the same way as the rewards. So let's say each time you do not complete your goal, you do not work on improving your skill, you will not watch an episode of Game of Thrones, or you will not go to the cinema. And this works really, really well because you love Game of Thrones, right? So if you do not complete that goal, you can't watch Game of Thrones. And for you, that's a punishment, and your brain sees it as pain because you love watching Game of Thrones. So why are you not watching it? So it will see it as pain, and it will avoid pain. And how does your brain can avoid the pain of not watching Game of Thrones? Well, if you work towards your goal, if you work to improve your skill, then you will able to watch an episode of Game of Thrones. So that's exactly how it works, and it's actually really, really simple. And there's also another method that I've never used myself. I've never committed exactly to this kind of software, but I know some people who do, and it works amazingly with them, which is pay money each time you fail to accomplish your goals. So what you are going to do is you are going to associate a goal with money. So let's say each time you do not practice your skill, you will lose $1 or $10 or $100. You are the one choosing the amount, but I highly recommend you to choose an amount of money that you are not comfortable to lose. If losing $1 doesn't make you really upset, then you need to choose a higher amount of money. So each time you do not complete your daily goal of practicing, you will, for example, lose $10. And if $10 don't mean much to you, maybe $20 or $50 or $100. Of course, this depends on the way you feel about money and, of course, how much money you have. If I use this method, which I don't yet, but I'm probably going to start with it, if I lose $10 each time I do not practice, I'm telling you, I would practice every single day because I wouldn't be able to lose $10. And the cool thing is that there's an app called BeMiner, and that app lets you create a goal, and then you can check and tell the app that yes, you completed the goal this day or you didn't complete that day. And you really need to be honest with yourself, because if you did not complete your goal, you really need to go to the app and click on I did not complete the goal, right? So you need to be very honest with you, because the method won't work if you are not. And they will associate your credit card with your account, and each time you do not complete the goal, they will take the money. And this can be scary, but I'm pretty sure it can work amazingly. So I highly recommend you to do this. I'm a very distractible person. I would sit for 10 minutes trying to study, but when I actually found myself, I was already cleaning my room, like looking into the walls, checking my phone or any other thing. After really trying different things to try to increase my focus, I came up with a few things that really helped me out, and I really believe that they can help you out too. And being focused is an essential part of learning any skill. And remember, the more you practice focus, the better you will become at it, just like with any other skill. As George Lucas said, always remember, your focus determines your reality. To be really honest here, what mostly impacted my ability to focus was to mute my phone and put it away. So please, if you're doing anything that requires your focus, such as learning a new skill, put your phone away and don't check it. If we are already very distractible people, why do we keep our phones near us? Each time you check your phone, your brain switches its context. And the more your brain switches its context, the more tired you feel. And the more tired you feel, the less ability you have to focus. And the less ability you have to focus, the more difficult it will be to learn anything. As Caroline Leaf said, multitasking is a persistent myth. Paying deep, focused attention to one task at a time is the correct way. And as Cal Newport puts it, high quality work produced equals to time spent multiplied by intensity of focus. So focus is just a requirement to learn anything. Here are 2 tips that you can use to focus more. So the first one is to choose the exact time you are going to start your focusing sessions and the location. If you have a lot of trouble focusing, starting for doing it for 25 minutes might be the best way for you, and then progressively start increasing your focusing time. If you are learning in a place where other people are around, make sure you tell them to not interrupt you, and keep the place where you are going to learn very clean. In one experiment, a group was exposed to a very clean laboratory and the other group to a messy one. The people that visited the messy room scored much lower in a lot of measures on self-control. The second tip is to decide what you are going to focus on. Whether it is to learn some basic principles through a book or to play a specific chord in your guitar, make sure you decide previously what you are going to focus on. Bring everything you need to the place where you're going to start and do it. Remember to keep your phone away and, if necessary, block certain websites from your computer. After your focus sessions, take a break. Walk outside, drink a cup of water, and stop for a minute. Barbara Oakley, in her book A Mind of Numbers, states the importance of making breaks to learn anything. So after focusing for a block of time, you have to leave that place and to go for a walk, to do some type of exercise, meditation, in order to trigger your diffuse mode of thinking, which is also very important to learn anything. In this module, I'm going to teach you the Pomodoro technique, which is a productivity tip that I always use every single day because I know it's really effective and it will help you a lot to focus on achieving your goals. And I decided to include this productivity tip in this course because I find it's really interesting to associate learning a new skill with productivity tips, how to learn, how to commit. I think it's important to associate these 3 ideas because they are connected and they do not live without each other, because yes, you can try to learn a new skill, but if you are not committed to learn that skill, you won't do it. And yes, you may want to learn a new skill and maybe you are committed, but if you do not have a productivity method to work effectively on your goals, you will probably give up sooner or later. But what is the Pomodoro technique? So first, you are going to decide how much time you want to spend learning that new skill. Like I told you before, you are the one choosing that time. So you can choose 30 minutes or 1 hour, whatever. You are the one choosing it. And you are going to block 25 minutes. And 25 minutes is usually the time that people who use the Pomodoro technique uses. So it's kind of the rule of Pomodoro technique is most people use 25 minutes of working and then 5 minutes of a break, 5 minutes breaking. So again, you are going to block 25 minutes of your time, and I recommend you to use a timer or an app because there are some apps that have this Pomodoro technique. And you are only focused for those 25 minutes on achieving a specific goal. In this case, your goal is to work and learn your new skill. After those 25 minutes, you will have a break for 5 minutes. And then you continue to work on learning a new skill. And of course, this is optional because let's say you only committed yourself to learn 25 minutes a day. After those 25 minutes, you don't need to continue to work on that skill. But let's say you committed yourself to learn a new skill for 50 minutes a day. Well, you are going to block 25 minutes, then you have a break for 5 minutes, and you go ahead and block more 25 minutes and have again a 5-minute break. So it works this way. It's really, really easy. But I also wanted to teach you an advanced technique, which I found online, and I really enjoy it, and I'm using it now because in this improved technique, you are not going to focus on a task for only 25 minutes. You are going to experiment with different time intervals because some people can stay focused for way more than 25 minutes, which is my case. I feel like I can stay focused for like more than 1 hour. So for me, only staying focused for 25 minutes and then having a break isn't that effective because 25 minutes isn't that much for me. So I feel that's not effective to only stay focused for 25 minutes and then stop and then continue. So in my case, I could try, for example, staying focused for 45 minutes and then having a longer break for 10 minutes and come back to work or simply stopping. It depends. And there's another technique related with the Pomodoro technique, which is write in a paper all the distracting thoughts that came to your head during that focus session. So let's say you remember that tomorrow you will have to deliver a paperwork that you completely forgot to do. You are not going to stop your focusing session to do that paperwork. No, you are going to grab a piece of paper and you are going to write there that tomorrow I need to deliver this. Or if someone calls you during your session, you are going to write in that paper, this person called me, but you do not pick the phone. You will wait for the break, and in the break, you will see which things are distracting you so you can tackle them later. So if a specific person called you during your skill-focused session, you are going to call them if you want to, of course, in the break session, but you can't interrupt your focus session to do those things. The only thing you can do is write them down, the things that are distracting you, so you can deal with them later. And this is really important because you need to see those 25 minutes or those 45 minutes or whatever the time you choose to focus on as a really, really important time that you can't just excuse yourself. So you really need to focus for that period of time and you need to commit yourself to only do that thing. So you must see your commitment to learn a new skill as a really, really important meeting that you can't skip. It's the way I see it and it's the way it works the best. In the beginning, you are super motivated to start learning. You look forward to start and to keep practicing every day. But there comes a time when you lose motivation and you don't feel like doing it. What to do when this happens? I like to refer Brendon Burchard, who is a high-performance coach. When he first started, he knew nothing about social media, marketing, video editing, public speaking, nothing. But still, he didn't give up. And he forced himself to learn all of those skills during several years because he wanted to pursue his lifetime dream, to share his message. If you really believe a certain skill would help you a lot to pursue any dream or any mission that you might have, don't give up. Anyway, there are a few things that you can do in order to get those spikes of motivation again in your life. So the first one is to answer some questions that will give you more clarity. You can do this by reviewing your why, or the reasons why you are doing this. Like, why did you start learning this skill in the first place? Why do you want to acquire this skill? How does this new skill will improve your life? Can you progress in your long-term goals with this skill in your toolbox? What are the 3 things you can say to yourself when you feel unmotivated? Can you journal about them? Can you put a reminder on your phone with the 3 reasons why you are learning this skill? This might give you an extra motivation. So do answer these questions, especially if you lack motivation right now. When you find yourself constantly unmotivated and tired, it might be a signal that you really need a long break. And in fact, taking a break might be one of the best things you can do to progress in your learning curve. Because it is vital to keep your brain healthy in order to learn anything. Taking a break doesn't mean replacing practicing a skill to checking social media all day. Really, take a real break. Traveling to a new place or going to a different restaurant or facing your city as you are a tourist. When you come from your break, you'll feel much more excited and eager to continue learning and practicing and mastering a skill. Anyway, Jocko Willink says motivation is not consistent. It comes and goes and you can't always count on it. So when motivation fails you, count on discipline. But make sure you give yourself a break when you are really needing it. How to experience flow and how you can actually get into the flow state in order to enjoy your work. So you're basically going to learn what is flow, how to experience it, how to focus intensively, which is one of the most important skills in this crazy technological world, and also it's a prerequisite to enter the flow state. Also, we're going to learn the Pomodoro technique with a few pro tips that can really help you even more. And Flow is a book that was written by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi and was one of my favorite books ever. I took a lot of lessons from it that are here inside of this class, and I also give my personal experience on this because flow is something that can really improve our daily lives and can make our careers much more successful and also makes us happier in our workplace. And it's very, very important to experience it every single day. So the flow state is when people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. When you are in flow, time flies by without you really noticing it because you are enjoying the activity. You're so concentrated on an activity that you can't worry or think about your problems. Most of us have experienced this in the past, but the key is to learn how you can experience flow every day because this state makes us happy and it's a wonderful feeling to optimizing our lives. And Mihai Csikszentmihalyi said this in his book. So the flow experience, like everything else, is not good in an absolute sense. It is good only in that it has the potential to make life more rich, intense, and meaningful. It is good because it increases the strength and complexity of the self. So the author of the book interviewed different people with different jobs and different salaries, and they were all able to experience flow no matter what the activity was. Actually, the way you approach a certain activity is more important than the activity itself. Because they actually found that people executing the same job in a factory had totally different experiences. Because one of those people tried to make their work more meaningful and challenging, and the other one just keep doing the work. And one of those people, of course, you can predict which one it was much more happier and satisfied with his career. So to be in flow, you must have clear goals. So before start practicing a skill or working, make sure you know exactly what you want to accomplish. Don't leave space for randomness and boredom. If you want to start practicing guitar, know exactly what you want to practice right now. If you want to practice a new chord, if you want to learn a new rhythm, know exactly what you want to do. And especially try to get immediate feedback, because when we receive feedback while executing a task, we can experience flow much easily. So if you're playing guitar, the feedback comes from what you hear, if it sounds good or not. Because if it sounds good, you're probably doing it right. If it sounds bad, you also know that you must keep practicing. And that doesn't mean that you can't be in the state of flow. But you just have to continue practicing and gaining more skill. If you are programming, you can also execute the code and see if it runs or not. So it's very, very important to get feedback on the task you're doing. The concentration is usually possible because the task undertaken has clear goals and provides immediate feedback. This is also by the psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who studied this topic of flow very, very in depth. So this chart is very, very well known because of this book. And the author created two states. Some people actually talk about three states. I'm going to talk about the two of those. So boredom happens when you have a task that is very, very low on challenge and your skills are high. So in this case, you must challenge yourself. You must add one more element that will make the task more difficult for you. So let's say you've been practicing guitar for 3 months now and you are starting to feel bored. So try to play a more difficult song. Try to add another more rhythm. Try to add something new to your practice sessions in order to elevate the challenge so it can actually meet your skill level. And this way you will be able to experience flow. What also can happen is when you feel anxiety, when you feel overwhelmed. And this happens because your skill level is lower than the challenge. So you must increase your skill level by practicing more and more, or you can lower the challenge. If you just started learning how to program and you immediately expose yourself to advanced concepts, you'll probably feel anxious and overwhelmed. So in this case, you need to lower the challenge of the task itself. And the flow state happens when there's a balance between your skill level flow and the challenge that the task provides. So here's what Mihai Csikszentmihalyi has to say about this. So the optimal state of inner experience is one in which there is order in consciousness. This happens when psychic energy or attention is invested in realistic goals and when skills match the opportunities for action. The pursuit of a goal brings order in awareness because a person must concentrate attention on the task at hand and momentarily forget everything else. And there is a story of an Indian tribe that were living in a rich place in Canada, full of food, resources, and land. And so they became very comfortable living there. So the elders, every 25 years, would decide to move the entire population to a new place in order to find challenge. So they had new areas to explore and new things to figure out. So they moved from a comfortable place to a more challenging one. And that made all the tribe feel rejuvenated and actually healthy and more happy. So challenge is actually something that we must pursue because it makes us happier. It might be useful to breathe deeply before starting any task because in order to feel in the state of flow, you must feel actually relaxed and in peace of mind. Because when you experience flow, your thoughts and your actions are the same, which means that your mind is only focusing in the task you are executing. So a person can make himself happy or miserable, regardless of what is actually happening outside, just by changing the contents of consciousness. So there's no problem and worry that can excuse you from experiencing the amazing feeling of flow. You are the one deciding the importance of miserable or bad events in your life. And don't let those bad events control your life and not allow you to experience flow. In order to be in flow, you must be able to focus your mind in a certain task. And this ability of staying focused requires practice. Actually, you must be able to ignore what's happening outside in order to experience the state of flow. The most important way to eliminate distractions is to put your phone away. And I mean very, very far away because we have an addiction with phones, myself included. So it's very, very important to stop checking our phones if we want to experience flow. Working in a peaceful place is also a very important step to be concentrated and to experience flow. If you can't, put your headphones on with some classical music playing. You can find that on YouTube, or there's a very good site called Focus at Will, which have some amazing music to concentrate. Also, no TV, of course. I use the Pomodoro technique to make sure I can stay focused for periods of time. Most people start with 25 minutes, but I really believe that you can increase that time if you feel that it's not that much for you and if you can stay focused for way more than 25 minutes. So usually block 45 minutes to my own Pomodoro sessions. So first you set a timer for 25 minutes and you focus on only one task during that period. Then you have a 5-minute break and you focus for more 25 minutes. And in the end, you can give yourself a reward if you really need to. Because, for example, in my case, the reward for me is finishing a specific task or is to get in the state of flow, is to be productive. For me, it's the outcome that makes me experience more joy. So it totally depends on how you feel about it. Like I told you before, you can increase your focusing time and you can also write distracting thoughts that might come to your mind while you are trying to focus in a specific task. So let's say that you remember that you should call a friend or a colleague today, but you just forgot. So you just grab a piece of paper and you write that down. So you then can check it later and that thought won't be kind of always on your mind during the period that you are executing the task at hand. I decided to include some activities that might put you in the flow state. But this totally depends on you, really, on your preferences, on the skills you have, on the things you like to do. But here I've got writing, exercising, playing an instrument, reading, practicing a new language, coding, playing games, surfing, studying, having deep and interesting conversations too. And Mihai Csikszentmihalyi says, it was found that the more often people report reading books, the more flow experiences they claim to have, while the opposite trend was found for watching television. So, like you can see, here is not watching television. So, when you are watching television, you're not experiencing flow. So, try to avoid that, or at least reduce the amount of time you spend watching television and start reading more books, because it's actually a great way to experience more flow. I really, really hope that you try all of these tips with your next activity and see if you can get into the flow state. If you can't, keep practicing, because this actually improves with time, just like anything else. Thank you. In a world that's constantly trying to grab our attention, being able to focus in one single task at a time might be one of the most valuable skills right now. The problem with answering that message, picking up the phone, or dealing with a quick issue lies on the loss of productivity, effectiveness, and results. Every single time you're interrupted, you're making it more difficult for you to achieve that task. This loss of productivity and time is not easy to measure. We're so used to checking our phones and refreshing our emails that it almost seems normal. Recall the experience of trying to keep a conversation with a friend or a colleague while he's constantly answering messages and picking up the phone. You're going to repeat the same things over and over again, which makes you irritated and annoyed. How do you think the conversation will go? Probably much worse than it could be. The same thing applies to you. Every single time you stop working, you stop focusing on a project to, check your messages, to answer a phone, to talk to someone, you're interrupting what you were doing. And so you are stealing from your creativity, greatness, productivity, and focus. Great ideas, businesses, projects are born when people are totally immersed in what they are doing at the moment, and they are not checking other things. I challenge you to think how you've been working recently. If you've been noticing lack of focus, you're probably wasting a lot of time switching from one task to another. And so what it could take you 30 minutes to finish is now taking you 1 hour or even more. But lack of focus doesn't only mean answering your phone while you are working. It also means replacing important projects with meaningless tasks that don't require much energy and that are easier to go through. But they should not be your focus. They are not your priorities. So in this class, I will also be focusing in which tasks you should be paying attention to, and in those activities that will make you improve and advance in your life, career, or any other goal that you have. You might feel productive while you check your email and answer to text messages, but those activities will really move the needle forward in your business, in your projects, in your career? I've been experiencing lack of focus since ever. But it was only when I understood that lack of focus was making me less productive that I started applying other principles and routines to my daily life that really made my focus exponentially better. I read a few books on the subject and I made my research because I really wanted to understand how my lack of focus was affecting my results and productivity. I'm now able to focus for much longer periods of time, and I always make sure my phone is away from me. And I try to dedicate my time, energy, and focus to the activities that will help me to achieve my goals. Nonetheless, I still make a few mistakes, and we have to be okay with accepting our own mistakes because those are going to happen. But I think that putting a few principles into practice will really help you out to increase exponentially your levels of focus. In this class, you're not only going to learn how to focus properly and intensively, but you're also going to understand how you can dedicate more time, energy, and focus to those activities that are really going to help you to move forward. As Tony Robbins said, where focus goes, energy flows. If you find yourself constantly distracted, I really think you will benefit from this class. See you inside. If we look outside right now, we see what? People checking their phones. We are currently addicted to our phones. It's the reality. But if you look into the lives of those who create the most things, the most meaningful things, they are very conscious of the time they spent online. It doesn't mean they don't have any social media accounts. Most of them actually do, but they use their phones very consciously. They know exactly when they should be working and when they can be refreshing their Instagram feed. Wasting mornings doing meaningless activities is something that high performers avoid at any cost. And these people, the high performers or the high achievers, represent a very small percentage of the population. And they are high achievers because they spend most of their time doing creative work that is really meaningful for them. And so they are making progress and they are being successful, whatever that means for you. And so if we want to belong to that small percentage of high achievers, we have to do exactly what they are doing. You can be sure that one of their most important habits is to stay focused when they should be working or when they are writing, when they are creating something. They are 100% focused on that task. And so if they are creating a business plan, they are creating a business plan. And if they are talking on their phones, they are talking on their phones. They do one thing at a time because they understand the power of focusing. This is exactly what being focused means. It's about being conscious about what I'm doing right now and how I'm putting energy into that activity. And as important as this, it's important to focus on the right things. And so it's about setting intentions and having goals that really excite you and motivate you. And then executing on those goals first thing in the morning. Robin Sharma is a personal development author, and he developed this rule called the 90-90-1. And so it consists on, for the next 90 days, you are going to dedicate the first 90 minutes of your day to one single task. And that single task should be that one task that will help you to achieve the most important goal you have right now. I can't state the importance of this rule because it's all about focusing and focusing on the right thing. Because focusing is about doing the things that will move the needle in our business, in our career, in our health, in our relationships, anything in any area of your life. But you should be able to focus on the right things on any of those areas. By applying this rule, you are going to make huge progress. Not only because you are dedicating 90 minutes of your day, every day, to that important project or goal, but because you're dedicating the first 90 minutes of your day. And the first 90 minutes of your day usually means you are with more focus, energy, attention, willpower, and many other things. The most successful people don't have those many things going on. They are not constantly being pulled or interrupted. They understand the importance of being alone, and so most of them use their mornings to focus on the most important things on their businesses or projects or career. And later they focus their attention on other things that still have to get done, but they are not so important after all. Ideally, we would only execute the things that make us feel joy, alive, and motivated. But we both know that we still have to take the trash. So, in the real world, we have to make the decision to dedicate most of our time to those activities that will really give us the joy and the pleasure of going through the process of achieving our goals. You can be really smart and have a lot of focus and energy, but if you are focusing on the wrong things, you are not going to make progress every day. If you spend a lot of hours watching TV, you are missing an opportunity to create a better life for yourself. Because if you dedicated those TV hours to learn a new skill, you would probably be much better financially right now. So during this class, you will learn how to focus. But I want you to understand the importance of focusing, because that's how you are going to apply these practices. If they don't mean anything to you, if focusing doesn't sound really interesting nor important, you are probably not going to apply any of this. So make sure you understand that focusing is a requirement to achieve any of your goals. Make sure you spend your time wisely on activities that will make you grow and progress on your career. Because when you're checking in all the time, you're checking out of your real life. And so when you make the conscious decision to focus on the right things, you will not only going to achieve more, but you will also going to feel better, to feel more successful, to feel happier. And there's no greater feeling than that one. In the next video, we are going to be a little bit more practical, which will help you to start focusing once and for all. Everyone loves the feeling of achieving all of the priorities set for the day. But if you don't take the time to write those priorities, you are not going to experience the same feeling. When you write down the tasks you want to achieve for the day, it becomes painful to end the day and see that you didn't accomplish any of those. One of my favorite feelings in the end of the day is to check mark all the tasks that I finished in that day. And so when you write all the things you want to get done, you create a necessity to actually get them done. And when you finish those, you feel more motivated and excited to continue working towards your goals. Every night, I set my intentions for the next day, or the things I want to achieve. And to fulfill those intentions and priorities, I have to block periods of my time or periods of my day where I have to focus. As Gary Keller, the author of The One Thing, said, you can do two things at once, but you can't focus effectively in two things at once. Having clarity and priorities is essential to focus intensively. If you don't